It's on that last night.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we will call the organizational meeting for the new year to order.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And the first item on the organizational meeting agenda is the election of the board chair for 2026. Are there any nominations?
I'll nominate David.
I'll second.
Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Hearing no other nominations, is there a motion to elect unanimously?
I'll move.
Go ahead, Tom.
Second?
Yes, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, election of the vice chair. Are there any nominations for vice chair for 2026 for the Hubbard County Board of Commissioners?
I'll nominate Ted.
Is there a second?
Sure, I'll second.
Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Hearing no other nominations, is there a motion to cast a unanimous ballot for Ted for vice chair for 2026?
So move.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. Then we can pass the gavel to the new chair for 2026.
No.
And thank you, Steve, for doing a great job this last year.
Oh, you're quite welcome.
All right, next item on the agenda is the committee list.
I believe that Denise tried to update the things that would be chair-related. Did anybody notice anything that needed to change?
Well, I'll just comment. I've contacted people whose terms are expired or are no longer serving. And then I have one committee that the meeting date has changed. I can just give that to you after the meeting, Jeff.
Okay.
Otherwise, I didn't have anything else.
And I had my planning commission member contacted them last night, and they're interested in serving, continuing to serve, and that's
Okay.
be fine.
So they'll bring that forward to the planning commission for approval?
Yeah, the only thing I saw then was, like for Transportation Advisory Committee, it had Brian and then Mike Edminster as a interim, so that should probably be changed.
Okay, I will update
Well,
that.
And there's
Well,
multiple inclusions there.
Yeah, he was interim on a few places, and
Yep.
I guess my question was, is there a probation period, or does the word just need to be taken off? Because I did notice that.
We just need to pull the word.
Okay,
he
because there's
was-
other places too
Yep.
you need to pull the word.
He was interim, but he's been
Yeah.
appointed now, so.
Yeah, okay.
Then we had talked about that Northern Counties Coalition.
Yes.
We should add that to the list.
Yes.
And one is inactive at this time, but I don't know if you want to leave it in case it redevelops. Let's see, where was it? It's the, the Board for Child Care. I can't remember what it's called. So I'll find it, but what would be the board wishes? Should we leave it in case it reconvenes, or do you want to take it off and then I'll bring it forward if it reconvenes?
It doesn't hurt to leave it on. The primary,
Okay,
the primary reason for this list is to establish the meetings that are authorized for per diems
Right.
and attendance.
yep,
And if it's not active during the course of the year, we'll pull it for next year.
okay, that sounds great, thank you.
And the only thing I noticed is for myself, Northwestern Minnesota Juvenile Center, my term is up there. They have asked that I return. I told them, are you sure? And they said yes. Otherwise, the list looked good to me.
Is everybody interested in continuing in the same roles? I am.
Yes.
For AMC and for our standing committees?
Yes.
Although the standing committee,
Yeah, one, general government.
general government is typically the chair and the vice chair. Well, we got him listed as the chair and the vice chair. So does that mean we need to sort anybody?
What were you on, Dave? Benefit, oh, let's see.
Neither of those when we changed it last year. None of those.
We've got everybody on one of the meetings.
Okay.
So if all that works, you're looking for a motion to approve, I would assume.
I'd be looking for a motion to have me contact Northern Counties Coalition to apply for our membership on the trial basis, the free basis for this year, to add that, and then a motion to approve the committee list as presented.
I'll make that motion.
As Ted, I'll second.
Any other discussion? All wrapped into one, both of those?
Yes.
All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. All right, meeting procedures and bylaws update.
And I think there is very little in here other than edits. So I just want to verify this, that we have districts 1, 3, and 5 up for election this year. The meeting schedule has been updated.
I didn't look at my calendar. Do the meetings look okay with AMC, and the work sessions, or do we need to change that for December right away?
I think what's probably going to end up happening, if I'm guessing right, is that we would not have a work session
Okay,
on 12/8, but, because 12/1 would be really early for the annual meeting.
yep. They haven't given the dates yet?
I haven't seen the dates
Okay,
yet.
all right, we'll just wait then.
For the board's benefit too, I will miss the January 20th meeting.
Are you gone then too? Right,
I'll be here.
will you be gone?
I'll be here.
Okay.
Yep.
So we should be good. All right, so we need a motion to approve the changes to the meeting procedures and bylaws.
And the motion would be to set the dates for the regular meetings for 2026 and adopt the bylaws for 2026.
Mr. Chair, I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, on to the regular board meeting.
Mr.
Regular meeting to order.
Mr. Chair, I have one item to add, and that would be item 10B, B and a half, to establish the minimum salaries for the sheriff and the attorney position. Gina reminded me this morning, it's an election year, so we have to establish the minimum salaries before we open them for candidates to apply. So I would just add that item at second to last under administrator.
We need a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And the consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, public input.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Is there any public input? Hearing none, now we'll go to consent agenda. Thank you, Ted.
You're welcome.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
This Ted, I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, county employee recognition. Mike?
Good morning.
Morning.
For county employee recognition today in Highway, we have Robert Hamlin, Maintenance 2, began the full-time position on December 22nd. In Human Resources, Gina Teams, Human Resources Director, is recognized for service from March 6, 2017 to January 6, 2026. In the Sheriff's Department, we have Scott Parks, Chief Deputy Sheriff, is recognized for 15 years of service on January 4th. And David Pietala, Deputy Sheriff, is recognized for service from April 28th, 2020 to January 5th, 2026.
Thank you, Mike. And on to highway and survey.
Good morning.
Morning.
A few items here. The first two are final project approvals, and the payment for the finals were approved at the last meeting in December, and this is just the paperwork essentially that goes along with them. The first one is for our project that we had with HSIP dollars, LED stop signs, and transverse rumbles. It's SP 029070015. And the final payment will be to H&R Construction Company for $22,272.25.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you. All right, the second one is approval for finaling our project SP 029613013, which was our FDR project on CASA 13 this last year. Anderson Brothers Construction Company completed it, and the final payment would be for $219,901.26.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Andrea, I have a question. With this project, this was our standalone project, is the city of Nevis, is that coming through us as well, so pass-through dollars, or are
Yep,
they
we've
paying?
actually finalized the
Okay.
portion of the City of Nevis project.
Okay.
We got final payment and everything
Okay,
from
very
them already, yep.
Thank you.
And that one, I don't know if you guys heard or are aware, but Anderson Brothers did resolve their issues with the feds, and they are a bidder for next year, which is excellent news for us. They're a heavy bidder in our area. Let's see, the next item I have is for approval for, shoot, did I do them in the wrong order?
Which one do you want?
Which one do you got pulled up there? The Mack, okay, we'll do this one. The snow equipment for a Mack tandem snowplow truck, 2026. We had this in our 2026 budget. We went out and got quotes from Burt's Truck Equipment and from Towmaster, who outfit these snowplow trucks. I would like to go with Towmaster equipment this go-around. We've had considerable delay issues with Burt's in the past. They're just not keeping up. It's about 2-year turnaround on their trucks and the outfitting. And also talking with the guys, Burt's outfits the interior of the truck differently than how Towmaster does, and it's more user-friendly the way Towmaster outfits. So it is an increase, about a $14,000 difference. However, combined total is all within the budget that we had for the 2026 capital outlay dollars.
Do you know the time frame difference on delivery?
They both have about the same build date. They can't give us a certain build date because they have to see the chassis first, but Bert said end of a late 2026 build, and Towmaster said right away in 27. So they're still a year behind essentially of when you want your trucks, but timeline wise to get it in, they're about the same, but what we've seen is Towmaster has been able to kick them out and be a little quicker on the turnaround of them.
How are the payments made on it?
We don't pay until we get it,
Oh.
get the equipment, so we put in, they have slots that they're allotted. And they fill those slots up, and then they build accordingly to those slots. And then when the truck's delivered, that's when we then pay the bill.
Will you use money from the 2026 budget or 2027 budget?
For 26, it'll be set, and then Christina will hold that money and then pay as we get the equipment in 27. We still have a truck at Burt's right now that we ordered in 2024, that it's still being completed. So what is that, 2 years now? So it's just and it's across the board. Every county sees this delay. We're not special by any means for that. I don't want to be special in that aspect.
So you obviously feel that the 14 grand difference, the build quality is that much?
Yeah,
It's worth it?
it was explained to me, and I don't drive the truck, so I'm not 100, but they install a control board, like a computer screen, and Towmaster places it right where the operator needs it, and it doesn't shake as they're driving the truck. And Burt's doesn't. It's placed in a separate location, and it's not secured, and it's not as accessible to the driver as it should be. So they're looking at that. And then they also said some of the things that we request from Burt's that is an add-on, Towmaster just includes. We're starting to put like the blue flashing lights on the trucks, and Towmaster's just including those in their build versus Burt's, that's an extra item. So we're seeing some of the differences there in terms of quality and then what we actually want on the trucks.
Mr. Chair, just speaking from experience with the trucks, Towmaster does build a really nice product, and they stand behind it as well. They do good work. They do try to get it out as fast as they possibly can, but like you said, it's waiting on the chassis to show up. So you're still kind of dependent on that. But they do build a very good product, and it is very user-friendly.
Are these being built on the same chassis in a sense? I mean, is one a Ford and one a Chevy, or
Well,
do you know that kind of stuff?
The
or-
chassis is in another board item. It's a Mack chassis, which is what we've been drawn to. It's usually like a Western Star or a Mack or Sterling or International
Okay.
is the maker of the chassis. And then they send that chassis over to these outfitters, and then they put all the equipment on and
Oh,
outfit the
okay,
truck.
okay. So this would be the same chassis, it's just whether we have one shop or the other?
Yep,
finishes it.
it'd be on a Mack chassis. It'd just be who's outfitting it with the box and all the snowplow equipment and the electronics for operating the snowplow equipment.
Okay, thank you.
And they also, the warranties, the companies all start their warranties when it's delivered, because you're getting essentially a year-old truck, but they start the warranties when it's delivered and not when the actual chassis was manufactured.
Location, that screen can make a big help.
Yes.
I've seen that
Yep.
with my RV. I mean, it's sitting right there next to me.
So you can choose the more expensive quote, but the motion would include the reason for the award, the quality and placement of equipment, the build timeline, and customer service differences.
And so when Burt's, if you go with Burt's and you add on some of these other accessories, that difference of 14 grand,
It could be eaten up.
half of that or all of it?
Yeah, the blue lights, I would say, are around 4,000 to 5,000 to add on, and, yeah, it could potentially add up if we made some changes to the quote.
Yeah, because that would be helpful to know next time you come with a quote, is like, what are some of those accessory items that you might add that would compare it? Because I'm looking at it from the taxpayer's
Yep.
perspective, they're gonna look at a $14,000 difference, and that's a significant difference. We really need to justify the reason why.
Well, I also think if you spend 10 hours plowing snow, the more ergonomic something is and the more comfortable it is, the longer you're going to be able to stay in that truck and stay alert and do all those things that you need to do, and essentially be safer. So,
Yep.
well, I will make the motion to approve Towmaster truck equipment for the snowplow equipment for the truck, just based on the placement of the items, the turnaround, and the quality of the build and the warranty that everything goes along with it.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Yeah.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
When we get it in 2 years, I'd like you guys to come out and see kind of the difference of how it's set up and the reasoning that they requested that this go around. Let's see, okay, I didn't have these in their correct order, so we'll just go with the next one. Is a purchase of a loader. That was also in our 2026 capital budget. We received 3 quotes from 3 different companies, and the low quote was from McCoy Construction and Forestry out of Grand Rapids for a John Deere loader, and the cost was $310,000.
Is this to replace an existing unit?
Yes, yep, we have a 1980, I believe we have a 1990, excuse me, loader that we would be replacing, and we would put that on auction this year with our, well, once we receive the new one, then we'd replace it with auction.
No other,
I'll check with
Nice.
departments first and see if
yeah,
they would need
to
it.
see if
and-
they might need it. You know, solid waste might need a backup or something. It might be a little bit big for what they'd be needing, but, yeah, okay.
I'll move to approve the low quote.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Right, and the last one is for the chassis, is a Mack, a 2026 Mack Truck chassis from RDO Truck Centers out of Fargo. Their cost was $159,332. And we did only get the one quote due to going to a Mack Truck solo fleet, and then also it's been pre-bid on the state bid pricing through, they go through different dealers for different brands, manufacturers of chassis. And this is what our mechanics have liked, and we own probably 3/4 of our fleet are Mack now. And we own the software, the computer software, to be able to read and to repair the trucks. And it does save a lot of money when you can get to one manufacturer. You get the same oil filters, the same glass, the same mirrors, kind of everything that's replaceable on it.
And the software is a huge asset
Yes,
to have on
yes.
hand.
It's expensive
diagnose
software,
everything.
and to not have to buy 3 or 4 different kinds is helpful.
I'll make a motion to approve the RDO Truck Centers bid.
I'll second.
Any other discussion?
Just a question, have you looked at other brands of trucks as well?
We-
Done any demos or anything like that?
Yeah, you know, I've gotten Max, Sterling's, Internationals, Western Stars, and it's kind of what I've seen as a maintenance preference in terms of what your mechanic is favorable to. They all have issues, you know, every truck is gonna have some sort of issue with it. But I think the best idea for maintenance-wise and then feasibility is going to a one brand fleet, a standard fleet of truck, which I think we have maybe 3 or 4 left, a couple Sterlings, I think 1 International, that will just cycle out. The one that we're replacing with this truck is a International, so that'll be 1 less. But yeah, there is a benefit to going to a one fleet system, but they do make other brands and other kinds. Also, what I've seen is Mack is about midpoint in terms of price. Usually what I've seen, Internationals are a little higher, Western Stars are a little lower in terms of price, but they're all really similar around that. They used to be 110,000, but now they're 160,000, so they've gone up significantly in price.
Great, thank you.
That's all I have.
That was it, right?
Mr. Chair, I have a question for
Should we
Andrea.
have a
So,
vote yet?
oh, we didn't vote? I was wondering if we had, okay, go ahead.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, so, when we're heading west on 34 and the 2 cut across roads for Hubbard County,
Okay.
okay, and they have lights at the corner on
Yes.
34? Neither of the lights work. Is that a county issue or a state issue?
They are, I think your SAW 28 is the one you're looking at specifically, and I just got an email this morning from Adam back in the office, and they are our lights. You know, we installed them with one of our projects, so we're gonna have Bergstrom Electric go out and take a look and troubleshoot. I'm assuming it's a broken conduit line somewhere that with the frost heave and traffic volumes on it, so they're gonna go out this week and take a look and see what's wrong with it.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, I guess we jump ahead here to the sheriff. So the item you have up is for emergency management grant.
Correct, it would be a resolution for the 2024 Emergency Management Grant, EMPG grant. There's only one thing in it that can be a little bit confusing. The matching fund, or the total dollar amount of $18,000, I believe $338, indicates that it's a 50% matching. It is real close to 50% matching to the emergency manager position in 2024, and that would have been a deputy that was new to the to the position, and actually did match that deputy's wages. So, but it was just specifically the deputy's wages, not their entire package, because in 2024, the emergency manager position was a 40% position. So, I mean, it is accurate in saying that, but understand in 2025, that language will change, because now the emergency manager's position is a, a full-time position. So, and then the funds fluctuate every year. So the federal government sends out emergency management funds, or FEMA funds, to the states every year, and that does change, up and down every year. So I do know next year's, there's gonna be a change, and it's gonna go down. It's in that $13,000 range, so it's actually a pretty substantial change, so.
The dollars aren't tied at all to transportation, are they? This is all totally separate?
Correct, no, it's not tied with transportation, so these dollars are specific to the mandate that all, counties and states must have emergency managements, and then the federal government does fund it, in a way. To give you an estimate, Minnesota receives somewhere in the $6 million range, okay, the state from the federal government to fund their emergency management positions. The federal government doesn't articulate how the individual states need to spend those monies. So the states can actually take the money and spend it all themselves and not give it to the counties at all if they so choose. And there are some states that do that. So what Minnesota does is they take whatever they get, and usually it's between that $6 and $7 million range, and they fund their state positions. So all of your state emergency management positions through HSEM are funded through those federal dollars. And then the state of Minnesota came up with a population estimate. I mean, that's the way that they divvy out their money to the 87 counties. They take the population and they have a formula, and they apply that formula to counties' population, and that's the money that each county gets. So that's how it's divvied up, if it's never been explained.
Now look at the dates on here too. It's an 18-month grant.
Well, yes and no.
I mean, did those dates change?
No, they go through 18 months. I mean, is usually where they go through what, June 30th, I believe. So yes, it's confusing, and that has a lot to do with the 18 months is for your submission when it comes to submitting everything. So the 2025 grant is already open, and a lot of stuff has to be submitted by the end of the year, but there were some lawsuits, and Minnesota was one of the states that was suing the federal government, or FEMA, over monies, but that resolved. The lawsuit is done, so now we'll see. Hopefully the portal will be open and we can submit. The grant can be difficult. I mean, you have to submit 4 quarters, so there's 4 quarters, so it is 12 months, but yeah, it shows you 18 months, but that has to do with submission more than anything. And you have to put in your 4 quarters, but then you're not allowed to submit anything as you're going. So for 2025, which is done, once they open it up, that's when you have your opportunity to go submit. So you have to you have to write down everything that you're doing throughout your calendar year and make sure that, each quarter you're submitting what is required. And every state is different, on what they require for their submissions, so.
My whole concern with it was just that last statement in the background information. Now that we have a full-time EM, it's not really accurate to have that in there anymore. And to me, it doesn't matter what percentage it matches, because I believe the position is necessary. And so that we'll just take what we get from the grant and
Correct.
be happy.
And it'll definitely say something different in 2025. So next year, when it's on the agenda, it's, it's not gonna have that language in there, because you're going to see, there's, to come up with a percentage.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot lower.
Correct.
And Troy, I didn't understand, same thing that David had kind of pointed out on page 1 of the contract. They talk about the grant contract agreement terms from 1/1 of '24 to 6/30 of '26, so it's already 2 years into a grant. So how come we're signing up on something that's already been 2 years? We've got 6 months left, basically.
And that has to do when they open it up. I can ask the question, but it has to do with the state and how they open up, and the state calls it EMPG. And actually that's changing, and now already has changed. It's gonna continue to be EMPG, on how the state names it and how you apply. And it's changing to a different platform in 2026. So that's what it has to do with is, and yes, it is very confusing and can
Yeah.
be confusing.
Because then they're talking about the grant contract agreement amount. Well, if you're gonna split that $18,338 over actually 2.5 years.
Actually, yeah.
The grant period is really 1 year.
Correct.
It's for '24.
Yes,
You have until X amount of time to expend the funds.
correct.
So this is really for a year's worth of time.
Okay.
It's just the grant period allows the expenditure of money to be carried forward. But this would have covered our costs in 2024 for a part-time emergency manager.
Okay.
That would be accurate.
It is
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
accurate for
Yeah.
2024, because
Got it.
that was a 40%, position, so yes. And then, because that deputy being on step 1 or 2, on the pay scale, it pretty much is dead on. I mean, I worked with, and it was Nick Opsel that was the emergency manager in 2024. I worked with him on this, and this was really very accurate in reflecting, his wages. So this is specific on wages only, not the entire package.
So next year when it comes, will they have an effective date of 1/1/25 expiring on 6/30/27?
I don't know if they're gonna choose that or not.
Likely. It'll likely be the same adjusted dates. But
So now you getting it? I'm starting to understand it now.
Well, and it also allows,
They just put an expiration date out there quite a lot further in case you don't expend the funds. You've got more time to expend the funds.
correct,
Your fund balance would just go higher if the next contract, if you didn't expend them.
if you didn't, correct.
I just can't imagine the state sending out something that's confusing like this.
It's the same as the parks grants. The parks grants, if you get or a transportation grant, if you are awarded a grant for 27, you have till 29 to spend it.
Okay.
So and if you get our park, Greater Minnesota Parks and Trails was a 2024 grant award, and it has to be spent by 26. So that's their working period with grant monies. And most often in this case, we're spending it within the year, the named year of that. With the Greater Minnesota Parks and Trails, we're gonna be pushing to get it spent right to the end of, right to June 30th. But it was still a 2024 award.
Okay.
So I'm sorry about that, but I think we finally get it now.
Well, it is confusing, and now it's gonna change too with Minnesota going with, in 2026, they're gonna go with something different, so.
I'm just curious, and you might not know this answer, but Minnesota likes to spend money, so, do you know out of the total dollar amount the federal government gave, was it all given to counties, or did Minnesota pocket part of the money? Yeah, that's what I figured.
But
Did they put it in the general fund, or you don't know?
No, they'll fund the HSEM program. So,
Okay.
so the state has state emergency, and they're very needed. So, I mean, with this storm that happened,
Yep.
you know, or actually every year, I mean, those state, entities, you know, come out and actually, they came here and did our PDAs. A couple of you came down, you know, was part of that. Those individuals were funded through the federal funds, yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, our regional coordinator, which every region, we're Region 3. We have a state HSEM person that's here. That position's funded through that Monday as well, so. But the feds, like I said, the feds don't designate how the states
Right.
have to spend it, so it'd be interesting to see how states do spend it. I mean, Minnesota does give their counties some money, so, which is good.
How much of that money is yet to be received prior to June 30th?
Correct.
How much of that money is still yet to be received, or has it?
Oh, for 2024?
Yeah, well, of that 18,338.
We will receive it, after today. I'll get the signed signatures, and then I upload it into the grant portal, and we'll receive that money sometime in the next 60 days. It's there, it's already been authorized, it's just waiting for the signatures. So we will we'll receive it sometime in the next 60 days.
So roughly, if you take Hubbard County's population and the state's population and this 18,338, they're passing through about $5 million of federal grants to local authorities.
That's actually really accurate, yes.
Administrator math.
Yep.
So we need a motion to approve the 2024 Emergency Management Performance Grant Resolution application, along with the county funds to match.
I'll make the motion.
Ms. Tettle, second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you for the learning lessons.
Yes.
Yeah.
We got two of our county entities that are gonna be receiving money reference to the storm, so forestry submitted theirs, and they should receive their funds within 45 to 60 days, and the highway department just got approved, and theirs is over $50,000, what we're getting reimbursed by the state, so that's a nice substantial check.
Great, thank you. All right, HR, Gina. Last time.
Do you want a box of Kleenex?
There's usually a box right there.
I know. Hey, I look, but I think I'll be okay in that. It's just this that I always need.
Thank you for the homework last night.
So before you, the board of, yes, of, 8+ years and everything that's always you're wanting on your to-do list, and a personnel policy is not 100% completed, but I did my diligence of what I could try to get before you as best I could. There's still some sections. We're also working, Jane has been doing a fantastic job compiling the personnel manual policy so that we can get it more into a one structured type document and reformatted and everything. So we're working through that as well to get that done. But so just kind of going through the sections here that I could get complete and present before you today for some updates. Section 2 is pretty much a category update on policy verbiage, and also to preface as well too, the county board, we have contract with DDA that they have via AMC. AMC contracts with DDA for a policy development person, Melanie Alt. We have a website that we can go to, or a portal that Melanie has all types of policies and language and things of that nature. So when writing policy, working in conjunction with what Melanie has for sample policies for counties to use, and then also, you know, when it's law-specific statutory for labor attorney, you know, language that we use as well too. So Section 2 is just a verbiage update and titling with that. And then some of the, how old this was or whatever, we still had some reference to county coordinator, so getting that updated. And then just trying to get things in a more, you know, benefit eligible employees, labeling those out all in one section there with that. Adding in, we never had stated about what the definition of days was. Getting in there about exempt positions and the definition of what an exempt position is. Family in the, we always had a kindred and a chart in the policy of degree of kindred, and updated that to the sense of ESST, the Earned Sick and Save Time, has the designations of family members, so that's just a reiteration of the ESST family members with that as well too. So, you know, if someone can take ESST leave for bereavement, and then we also have a bereavement policy, it's best to have those definitions of who you can take it for, you know, coincide with each other. So that was getting that streamlined in that sense as well too. Some of the others is basically just, you know, promotion, reclassification are just reference from the section that we've already had updated and approved further on in the personnel policy. And then status of employments as well too, of how we have in the UKG system of what somebody is, or when we make a job offer, this is what your job offer is. You're a regular full-time employee or regular part-time, or so it's a consistency in the UKG portal. So when an employee comes and looks at their profile, they'll see what's in the profile matches what their job offer letter was in that sense, that we have everything there. Adding in supervisor with statutory reference, and you'll see throughout any policy type or even in procedure manual, I will always reference, if there's a statute tied to it, I will reference the statute to that. So somebody doesn't come along and say, well, why do we, you know, I don't want this, let's just remove it. Well, you know what, it's a statute, so that helps everybody in knowing and being able to reference that there. So those are pretty much the formatting, and then I call them housekeeping. You know, nothing's out of the ordinary. It's either by statute, by federal law, or, you know, policy that we're just pulling everything together with that of Section 2. Section 3 is really just an update as well too. Current sections of the personnel policy and written, there was so much this, and then you do this, and then you do this. And we needed, and wanting to get the personnel policy more of, this is the policy, procedures. We have a procedure manual that I've developed and adopted where all those step-by-step instructions are put into the procedure manual for reference, and that is out there on SharePoint as well too then for, you know, for all department managers, supervisors, and employees to reference with that. So really no major changes in the recruitment section of the employment here. Getting to job postings, we have that they need to be posted a minimum of 7 calendar days. Previously would be going with working days. That's changing to calendar days because we're an online system and you can go on 24/7 and you can apply for a job with that. So it helps get our postings out there. If somebody wants a hard close, they have to post it a minimum of 7 days. They want to go longer, they can, or if they want to have a open until filled, that they can. But the 7 days changed from like 10 days because it was paper applications back in the day when this was originally written, and, you know, they had to wait for business hours. You don't have to wait for business hours anymore. You can apply for a job at midnight, and we'll see it 8 a.m. the next morning on a work day with that. Selection is just mainly saying, you know, human resources will administer the process, the flow through the UKG system. Everything then is working in conjunction with the department manager and supervisor. Selection number 3, we did not have anything in our policy that references nepotism and conflict of interest. This is basically language taken from DDA, Melanie providing that. And I've worked in other counties where there's always been some nepotism as well too. You know, it has in here the provisions and the parameters that everybody is responsible to come forward, you know, when they become aware that there may be a nepotism issue. And then, you know, then there needs to be the discussion, whether it's with the human resources director or if the county administrator, you know, needs to be brought in. In, you know, another county, the sheriff's daughter applied and was hired into the department. You know, the sheriff was not the direct report of that person, but, you know, so he felt and wanted to feel better about it, took that to the county board so they were aware of it, that's, you know, that's what was happening. Through this process, you know, that wouldn't need to come before the county board because the county administrator could take care of that then as well too. So we've got that in there as well. Some of the other things, the para-pro, that's all it was complete statute reverbaged right into the policy. So, you know, we know that if anybody is interested in that, we look at the statute and then bring it to you. For me, since I've been here, prior coordinator leaving, Debbie Thompson did a para-pro. I think it was approached when another department manager in my time here was interested in it, but we didn't, I don't think there was, you know, interest to go down that line with it. But, so it's knowledgeable if it would have the discussion to come forward. Then we just had different sections, like section 4 and 11. We were able to just pull under one section 3. The probationary period moved in then as section 3.02 for probationary and trial periods, mainly reiterating the same thing of, serving a 6-month probationary period. Sheriff's Department staff of essential employees serve a 12-month probationary period with that. One, separation of employment incorporated section 11 all into section 3 of an employment category. There, made an update for the county. It's always been a 2-week notice if you're leaving, separating employment with the county. Added into this policy, if you're a supervisory employee, is a 20-day notice. Been places where that's a 30-day notice as well too. I think maybe just as a step, you know, a stepping stone from 2 weeks, 20, you know, a minimum of 20 days for that. Down the line, if you feel you want to change it back or change it to 30 days, you know, you can as well too. 30 days is not uncommon, but I think 20 days, I think Melanie had in their policy as well too, 20 days. So put that in there as well. And then the rest as well too is just getting the involuntary separation, getting all that under one section of the employment. So that pretty much covers section 3. which then, as I stated, Section 4 got incorporated into 3. Section 9, this is an update that is a statutory update as of January 1, 2026. The state legislature made changes to the meal and rest periods, mainly saying originally you must allow adequate time. Now it's more is, you know, it used to be permit, and now you must allow them to be able to have these meal and rest break periods. In both categories, the rest break and the meal break, there are remedies that if an employee does not get this, there can be repercussions of civil actions as well. And because that's a statutory, stated, I have that listed out for employees, department managers, supervisors in the procedure manual with that. There are some exemptions that the legislature, put in here as well too, of exempt employees, elected officials, law enforcement, employees not eligible for pair membership, and any type of volunteers. So that one is a statutory update that was made to the law. The Section 9 Appendix B about telecommuting, Mike and Edminster in Human Services had spoken to me and just wanted a tweak of some verbiage language, of just some clarification for them to make it easier of where the employees were categorized into the telecommuting. So that was just a housekeeping basic update to that type of verbiage to make it more clarifying
Yeah, I was just curious
for them.
if a conversation with you had been precipitated by him
Yeah, yep,
about this.
yep. And that's actually, we talked or whatever too, and that's pretty much the verbiage that he had presented as well too, and that, we can incorporate that in as well. The paid time off section, that has all been incorporated into the Section 16 of the benefits, so we can remove the Section 12 from the policy then as well too. The Section 16, look here to see which ones, I had other ones. I think Section 16 was the main one, was in the meal reimbursements. We have had discussion at Personnel Committee on these as well too. And, it's my last day. I'll present it to you. You pass it, you pass it. You don't, you don't. Work in Human Resources and Payroll, as we go through and we process meal receipts, we present to the Personnel Committee a highly recommended suggestion to update your meal reimbursement policy to only overnight stays if someone has gone to a conference. I had looked at other counties and presented to the Personnel Committee. One standing out that this language came from was Crow Wing County. They only reimburse meal reimbursements if you have an overnight stay out of county with that. Talking with the chief deputy and had like a conversation with the highway engineer as well too. We have employees who are in county who travel throughout the county, or, snowstorms, and they're in their plow trucks, for how many hours straight. And to be able to, just because you cross a county line, to be able to have a meal reimbursement when we've got employees who are, I don't want, what the correct word is. Their time, their positions don't allow them, to be able to, they have to plan. They have to either have a cooler in their vehicle or whatnot to be able to plan their meal. So with reimbursements that we do receive, in the interest of the county, We just felt that it would be in the best interest of the county to update that policy for meal reimbursements for overnight stays. And then those are processed through the auditor's office with that as well, too. So it's not saying that someone who has to go to the Twin Cities and they leave at, at 5:30 to, to head to the cities for a meeting, that they're gonna stay overnight, that with that, these breakdowns of lunch, breakfast, lunch, and dinner would remain, that they would still be able to get those, those reimbursements once they're out of the county, if they're going to be staying over. You have the meeting in the cities that you stayed over, and the next day, the meeting goes to 5 o'clock. You're not gonna arrive home till what time? You would meet the parameters of the, of the dinner to be able to have that, meal.
Well, I don't know if I agree with the overnight stay being required, because if we send someone to, say, St. Cloud or even to the cities for the day on a training, I mean, they're not gonna, convenience-wise, they're not gonna take a cooler with them and eat their lunch. They're gonna go somewhere, have lunch, and then go back. I think that
Right.
should be reimbursable, because we are sending them there. They're required as part of their job. It doesn't require an overnight stay.
Right.
And this kind of jumps out that, okay, you're, so to say, shortchanging the employee because they're out of their typical work location.
Right, right.
But it's not involving an overnight stay, so it, in my opinion, it should be a reimbursable expense.
And that's fine.
And same thing with commissioners as well. I mean, if I go to Bemidji, to say Northwest Juvenile, they have good snacks, but I typically don't, even if I stop for lunch, I don't ask for reimbursement for it. It's just
Right.
the way I am about it, but.
And I think it's more in a sense of what we're seeing and whether there can be more department manager and supervisor conversations to employees of, receipts that are being submitted and turned in for reimbursement. I think those are then, continued topics of discussion that need to be had, with that as well. There's unfortunate plenty examples, in that realm as well, too. And yeah, I totally understand. I think just that people will say as well too, it doesn't matter if I'm in St. Cloud or if I'm here, if I didn't grab my lunch today and I don't have anything, well, guess what? I'm gonna have to go out and run someplace and buy it, So it's, but it's just a presentation.
So Steve, are you proposing that under section 16, page 24B, that this statement is either modified or removed? Meals are reimbursed when an overnight stay is involved?
Yes, I just don't know what the wording would be there.
Mr.
I
Chair,
guess.
my suggestion would be that we take this out of consideration for now, run it through
Yeah.
the Personnel Committee, and come up with language to present.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it needs conversation.
The housekeeping things, the statutory things, we're all very grateful that Gina has gone through and done that. But this is pretty much the only policy change in here, and it hasn't run through a committee at this point. So I would exempt this from consideration today, or recommend that you exempt that from consideration today.
And then section 22 is the drug and alcohol policies, both for federal motor carriers, the highway department, the CDL holders, and then also for the FTA, the federal transit, for the human services transit drivers. In policy, you have to designate who your DER, designated employer representative, is. So that, again, is a housekeeping type thing to remove my name as the human resources director from there. And then the addendum regarding the severance reserve establishment, everything is already incorporated into the UKG portal with all that information, so it's not a necessary thing to have in policy. The history is there, looking back of what the county did to establish that. The actual employees who are eligible for the severance reserve or EIB is all listed within the within their UKG portal with that. So that cleans up that section then as well too. I
So
think
Jeff,
that's it.
I thank you, Gina. This was a lot of work. I appreciate it. So you're suggesting that we take out the entire last section?
Just remove
Jeff?
section 16.
Yeah.
Section 16,
16.07B specifically.
which is specific, essentially the changes in section 16.
Yeah, okay.
So we'd be looking for a motion to approve the changes with the exception of that one.
Of section 16.
16.
Yep.
I'll make the motion.
I do have a question.
Okay.
Well, I'll second and then you can.
Okay.
Okay.
And I guess I should have done this at the time, I see my notes. I'm confused, it goes to section 9, page 1, part-time telecommuter. I talk about 60% or less of the work week. Do we have people that work from home that are spending less than 60% of their time at home?
I don't know exactly the numbers that they have over there in Human Services. We pretty much, as the policy is written, the department managers are the ones that administer this. They sign the employees up, you know, for the agreement per the policy here with that. So I don't know how many they have in those bucket of categories of 40, 60, you know, percent with that. I think my guess is they probably have more in the 60% category.
Yeah.
With
And
that
that's-
because they've done so much remodeling, you know, to be, the
Brian
60%, yeah, the 60%
Brian had mentioned
people.
that it's a space issue, is it?
Right.
And anything, he doesn't want to have these workstations sitting empty forever and a day.
Right,
And then that's just taking up space that's not used.
And an efficiency issue, and I just texted Mike to ask if, I believe, I mean, our full-time telecommuter means that they're gonna be in the office one day a week, right, 80%. I don't believe we actually have anybody on a part-time telecommuting.
Okay.
Oh, we have one person working, one person on a part-time. So we do use both of those.
Okay.
so in the policy, it says that if they're the certain percentage, if they're working telecommuting, they don't have a designated workstation. And so they have the rotation, and then they share a workstation. So they schedule them so that that workstation just kind of has a rotating compared to anybody lesser, if that part-time person, then they would have a designated workstation.
Okay. Well, I just kind of wonder why, you know, with a full-time telecommuter, the employee will be scheduled to work from home 80% of the work week, and I don't see why part-time wouldn't be the same. 80% of their part-time.
It's a full-time employee, it's that their telecommuting is less than 60%.
Okay.
So they're 2 days in the
Oh,
office.
so they're not actually a part-time employee?
They're not a part-time employee, it's their schedule is part-time.
Okay. Their telecommuting is part-time.
Yes, thanks for asking that question.
Yep,
That's- I understand the confusion. It's that they are in the office at least 2 days a week.
Okay.
And he said the example we have is someone who is in the office 3 days a week and telecommutes 2 days a week.
So,
All right, any other discussion?
I just have a comment before we vote. I have been a commissioner since we hired Gina, and I have watched her office go from stacks of paper. One day I stopped in to see her and I said, "Where's all the paper?" And so Gina's worked really hard in her tenure here to update policy and to get things in formats that are accessible. So I thank you for your hard work.
well, and I appreciate it, but as we all know, and can all say as well too, I mean, it's been a great staff. You know, we've worked together. Human Resources Department is electronic, paperless. We've gotten rid of, you know, 3 huge file cabinets of paper, and then our smaller cabinets or whatever, you know, they're electronic as well too. So that's been a great job. You know, I always remember when getting authorization to either go with NeoGov or UKG, you know, Dave, the commissioner always would have we're spending all this money, what is it getting us? With the great staff and how they've dove in and learned those modules and those programs to streamline things. You know, UKG has proven its point of streamlining and leaning our processes that, you know, now with the change to Auditor, Treasurer, Department of Finance and payroll, you know, human resources doesn't have the need in a sense of what it did when everything was paper, but that also gives the room to grow into different avenues and things as well too. So I appreciate it, but I also will take the credit of the staff as well too, because they've been fantastic.
You guys have seen a lot of change since you've been here.
Yep, yeah, there has been. And that's, you know, and that's the good part of just, you know, people that can embrace the change and can, you know, it's always a group effort. It's, you know, what do you think? What do you think? And we come together with, and, you know, I'll always say, and I'll always give the credit of where the credit is due, that, you know, whomever, it was their idea that we go this route or try it this way or whatnot, and, you know, I had the support to throw it on the agenda, see if we can get those out-of-county receipts or out-of-county meals, and it's like, you know what the heck, I'll present it.
Remember
So.
the coordinator telling me they spent a day and a half putting together just the commissioner packets for board meetings. You know, it's crazy.
Right, and it is, and even as, you know, Troy Christensen of Emergency Management has been fantastic with things, but sitting down with him in the process as well too, and then, you know, teaching and having the discussions with staff as well too. It's, you know, depending obviously on what the situation or the emergency is, you know, that's the part, is they can go anywhere, they can get to Cass County, Becker, home, whatnot, and they can do their job. They can do payroll, they can get payroll done. If employees can't get a timesheet done, they can do 2 payrolls back, because that was the exact same similar type of payroll. Rerun it, you fix your changes later, but you get the employees paid. You know, so it's all those types of things. So that's the nice part about that as well too, is we can still, you know, we can still function. And if we have a power outage here, they can go home and they can hop on, and it's also the work-life balance as well too. You know, they can still get things done, and if they need a half a day of this and whatnot to travel in, and they can work from home in the morning, you know, to be productive and to still get things done. That's what we've accomplished as well too, so.
Well, and we wish you well. Thank you for your
Thank you, I appreciate it.
commitment to the county.
Thank you.
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you and good luck.
Thank you.
All right, meetings to note.
Mr. Chair, I've got an administrator before, meetings to note well, it doesn't really matter. Meetings to note, I just had the legislative conferences March 4th through 5th, 2026. I believe registration is open. I will send an email after the meeting to let people know if they're interested in attending and if they need reservations, and I'll be taking care of that. That won't take terribly long. It's best to get them done early, but the legislative conference and the Intercontinental usually has space for everybody that wants to go.
I plan on going, I think.
I'll go as well.
Well, we just take a general poll.
I'll let these guys handle it.
No, I don't think I'm going.
I'm not sure, probably not.
Okay. Okay, at this point then I'll make reservations for myself and Commissioner De La Hunt and Commissioner Kiernan.
All right, Administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The first item is for the legal newspaper bid results, and I realize that this language that the bid received from Park Rapids Enterprise for $4 per inch, which is an increase from 15 cents, was last year's language because Denise she didn't open the bids because she couldn't open the bids. So the bids were sent out as required, The 2025 rate was $4 per inch. The 2026 rate is $4.20 per inch.
Okay.
Just pass these around. We provided notice as required by statute, and we received one bid, and it was the Park Rapids Enterprise. And their rate for 2026 proposed is $4.20, which is a 5% increase.
I'm just curious, because I know it's really expensive to put in the paper all that we do. Statutorily, can we, or maybe it doesn't matter financially, can it go in the paper online without being in the hard copy?
We are, well, no.
Okay,
Not to this point, not until statutes are revised.
okay,
In the General Government Committee with AMC, we are constantly working on, and we've reduced the amount of things that are required to be actually published in favor of, because everybody has the stuff published on their websites, it is published. So we are always working on that, but those things move slowly. We publish summary minutes, not full minutes. Basically, the big one that we get is when we publish our audit report.
yeah, that's one I was thinking of, and,
It's impossible to read in the newspaper.
and plus there's an age group that would never pick up a paper and look at it, so.
Right. So there's a good argument to be made.
Yeah,
Really should be changed.
yeah,
I could pull up and find out what our actual expenditure is through,
it's okay, it has to be done, so it's irrelevant.
at this point. So we follow the statutory notice period. We received one bid. It's a 5% increase over last year with Park Rapids Enterprise. So we need a motion to name them as our official newspaper for 2026.
I'll make the motion to name the Park Rapids Enterprise as our official posting newspaper for 2026.
It's Ted, I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
And then the last item that we added at the beginning was to set the minimum wages for, minimum salary for the sheriff and the attorney, and the minimum sheriff salary for 2026 would be $116,552.16. And the minimum for the sheriff, or the attorney's salary would be $123,588.72.
Mr. Chair, I'll move to approve those.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
And that was Tom with the second?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can usually distinguish the voices without looking up, but.
All right, last item before we get to the closed session time of 10:30 is committee reports. Think we can get them all in?
Yeah, I think the only one we have is Heritage for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I just got one, if you don't mind, I'll
Yeah.
just start.
Right ahead.
Heritage was, for November, the CMS overall star was 5, health inspection was 5, quality measure was 3, staffing was 4, and again, that Minnesota NH report card still at 2 for some reason. I haven't made any changes, it should be changing. We had 2 hires, 2 terminations, and 4 open FTEs, with 24 applications. Current staff is at 105. And operations dashboard, Heritage Manor is 24 out of 26, cottages is 15.77 out of 18, and the nursing home has 42.47 residents. EBITDA, Heritage Manor, positive EBITDA of 70,872. Cottages has positive EBITDA of 13,185. And Heritage Living Center had a positive EBITDA of 12,517, for total combined EBITDA of a positive 96,574. So first 2 months were off to a good start. Previous month was positive EBIT of 85,513. And the really good news was the audit came back from Clifton, Larson, and Allen, and for the first time that I recall, in my time here, and probably goes back quite a long ways, let's see. We have a positive cash balance, which is nice. Where was that one? There we go. Days cash on hand. In 2022, we had 0 days cash on hand. In 2023, we had 17 days cash on hand, and in 2024, we have 32 days cash on hand. So the trend is going in the right direction. Peers are up around 130, 140 days, so we're coming out pretty quickly. And our accounts receivable is real close to our peers. Our debt service coverage ratio in '22 was negative 0.85. In 2023, we were 1.78. And in 2024, we were 2.58. Our peers were 2.96. Now, if you take out the ERC credits that came in, we're still 1.72. You want to be 1.2 or higher. 1.0 means you just have enough cash flow to pay your debt service. So 1.2 gives you a little margin in case your accounts receivable are high or something else is amiss, but 1.72 is a pretty good number, and I guess as far back as I can remember, we're hardly ever above 1. So that's a positive sign. If you guys are interested in looking at any of this, let me know.
I was just
Have
curious,
Stephanie get your copies.
is our staffing stable?
Is our staffing similar?
Stable?
Yeah, I mean, it fluctuates a little bit, but it doesn't, nothing drastic. So we have enough staffing now. The big difference is, we used to rely really heavily on traveling nursing pool. Now,
Really expensive.
through working the last 2-3 years, Steph has really done a nice job of trying to hire RNs and LPNs, specifically RNs, which were hard to come by. I mean, there was a shortage of RNs available, so we've addressed that pretty well now, and we're pretty stable with that now. You always are gonna have turnovers with your CNs, it just is pretty steady turnover with that, but, so that's made a huge difference. I mean, that was a huge expense that disappeared with the cost of traveling nurses, anywhere from 2.5 to 4 times. It's not sustainable, so we hardly ever use pool or contracted employees. Just for short periods of time, sometimes we have to.
Just as a point of interest, I did not know this, but Steph and Angie shared that the COVID protocols have been updated and lessened for every, like hospitals and assisted living. They have not for nursing homes. So it is still a lot of work and a lot of paperwork if there's COVID cases. And they did not know why they haven't been updated.
So yeah, a positive trend in the right direction, and hopefully we can keep it going. All right, that's all I had.
I don't have anything.
I don't have anything.
Well, we had the ambulance committee.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I've got a few things on that.
okay, that's right. It's been a while.
Yeah, it was.
Well, we received an MCIT invoice, so, and we'll have the insurance coverage for that. $3,609. And to help us with our funding, Leech Lake Band of Ojibwe said they plan to pay their yearly voluntary contribution that they were gonna do monthly, but it's $43,000, so they're gonna pay that lump sum by the end of January, and that'll give us some money in the bank. Because we approved Josh Stevenson to open the checking account and apply for a line of credit of $5,000, but maybe we won't need that now. The tax levy for 2026, 528,500. We approved the budget for that same amount. Approved per diems and mileage for board members. And authorize Cass County Administrator to pay bills to clients. Did I cover everything?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see, I'll try to stretch this out. I had one, Mississippi Headwaters Board, and I know that the executive director had talked with me prior to, about canceling the meeting, but then we ended up having a variance request. So we had to hold a meeting, of course, because those of us that were on, we know there's only so many days that we've got to get this stuff taken care of. Let's see, so I'll just go through the agenda real quick. Had the press release, they talked about the biennial conference that we had in Breezy Point this year. Then there was it was actually Morrison County, Bell Prairie Park. They want to do some remodeling there, and they want to do some retaining wall down by the Mississippi River, so they needed to get a variance for that. And obviously the ESO people from Morrison County were there online, spoke about the project. The commissioner from Morrison County was there. It was pretty much a slam dunk type of approval. Then let's see, our audit follow-up, that was completed. Let's see, and we talked about legislative efforts to raise the Mississippi Headwaters Board's base. We've been in $124,000 for the entire 7 years that I've been there. And with everything, costs are going up. But we've also talked about, and that's going to be on this month's agenda, whether it's the climate in St. Paul that we should be trying to get more dollars at this point. There's concerns if they're looking to cut someplace and we stick our head up and ask for more money, would they be looking to trim us even more? So we're going to have that discussion next month. Let's see, and then there was also talk about Minnesota Traditions. That's our social media that we have. I know that the month before there was some confusion with some of the commissioners. They didn't realize that the Mississippi Headwaters Board is the owner of Minnesota's Traditions. It's our social media account, not some other entities. So we had some discussion on that last month, and then this month voted to continue to have Minnesota Traditions. The executive director reaches out to all and he's something he started just a few years ago. He reaches out to all 87 counties and asks for some kind of a contribution. And it's really has been growing. Our Facebook numbers and our Twitter accounts and all these other things that I don't understand. All the numbers are going up. So we're getting more people coming to that site, and it started off with AIS education, but now we also go to Keep It Clean, where the ice fishing on the lakes for people are leaving everything out there and stuff like that. So we're reaching out in a lot of spots, not only just the Mississippi River, but all lakes and rivers in the state. And then, of course, we didn't have any legislative updates. I think Craig Gosvick from Beltrami County mentioned about their jail project is going good, on time and on budget. And that's all I've got. I did have a public safety and transportation meeting last Friday, but basically it was Andrea carrying the conversation on driveway approaches. And that, I think, will be coming before us for a work session, as I remember.
I believe we're going to add that to next week's work session agenda.
Good. That's all.
We got a few minutes. I suppose we can take about a 3 or 4 minute break, and then we'll be back for the closed session.
Do you want to move to motion to close the open session and open the closed session, and then I can just put it on pause?
So moved.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Right.
Motion carries. closed session. Is there anything else?
Just about out of closed session. Now we're out of closed session.
Anything else for the good of the meeting?
Otherwise, a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.